softball is a great outlet for me to be kind of more extroverted and get to make a lot of new friends and memories.
I want to win, I want to be one of the best, so I have to push and put work in for that.
Sports is the best vehicle to teach life lessons like teamwork and discipline, punctuality, respect, communication.
It's kind of just like my outlet, what I use to escape. I just feel like I'm free.
I'm on cloud 9, where I can kind of get away from pressures of life and just school and stuff and just have fun.
Being an athlete is such an incredible experience because you learn the resilience and the experiences of toughness and competition and teamwork and leadership and the things that I've been able to take with me from my high school and my collegiate experience into my professional life.
The CIF is recognizing the passage of Title IX because it's historic legislation that deserves celebration across our entire state, recognizing the achievements of so many people who have made sports for the girls in our state what it is today.
This was back in 1907. Girls basketball, called harmful for girls, can cause overexercise and heart lesions. Besides being too rough and tumble, unfettered girls' athletic competition would harm female participants physically and psychologically and detract from and even diminish their femininity. Competitive sports were too masculine, unhealthy, and inappropriate. Many men felt that women belonged in the kitchen and not on the playing fields.
Title IX, I know that it was a law created in 1972 and that it prohibits discrimination against sex and gender.
It's about making sporting opportunities equal for both men and women, so they have the same opportunities to tournaments and workout gear and equipment and just a lot of sporting events so that they're all equal.
Because I am a woman, first off, but also the way I present myself and other things I participate in, that it's just nice to have something that I can't be discriminated against.
I didn't know kind of the history of, 20 years ago, this wasn't really a possibility. And there was women then that were kind of forging this path to make it so that today, this is a possibility for so many young women.
I started coaching just a couple years pre-Title IX. I coached girls basketball, and we had 5 different teams trying to vie for the gym at the same time, three boys teams and 2 girls teams. And one of those time slots was 5 a.m. And guess who got the 5 a.m. slot? It was our varsity girls basketball team. And it was a given. We didn't have a choice, we didn't have a say. I didn't have a say in the time that we were going to practice or not. That was given to us, either take it or don't practice.
There was that feeling that women just shouldn't play sports, it wasn't safe for them, shouldn't be out at night, etc. And so that's the way it was for many, many years. Although women continue to play sports, but not interscholastically. A group called GAA, Girls Athletic Association, which for many years basically ran women's sports.
Came together from different schools, and rather than compete against each other, we had to pick teams that were different colors. We used to have to wear what we call pennies, and they were blue, green, and you participated on the team of that particular color.
The true inequities that I saw came when I went to high school because we had a girls' gym and a boys' gym. And the girls' gym was small, and it was in the old part of the high school. And the boys' gym was large, and it was in the new part of the high school. And when we played basketball, the only way we could practice in the new gym was if we got up at 6 in the morning and got there by 7. We felt like we were lesser. We didn't feel as important. We felt that we just didn't matter to the people around us.
I was the first woman to have a voting privilege on the board. Go down to the CIF, I knew nothing about it. I said, what is the CIF? And he said, well, it's for the girls, this new Title IX thing, the boys are gonna have to give up stuff and let you girls play. I said, well, it's about time. So
Not only were the boys and the men coaches resistant to change, but there were some girls coaches and girls who were resistant to change. We didn't immediately get prime practice time. Title IX didn't change that necessarily.
Set up guidelines and set up all kinds of things that would give women an equal chance to participate in sports as did the boys. And of course the CIF was the body that regulated and delegated the rules and regs. So normally the women would come under the CIF.
When I was named athletic director, and then I had to then do some of the administrative work, like scheduling practice time, gym time, all of those types of things. Then it became evident to me that things were so different and inequitable.
I wanted to find out from the founders of Title IX, which were the women. And we had here in the Southern section some very important women. And I talked to Karen Hillier, who I had a tremendous amount of respect. She was an assistant commissioner here in the CIF Southern section. But I said, Karen, tell me why girls want to play sports, which is sort of a male chauvinistic question. And she says, John, I was in GAA and then I became a head coach at field hockey, and girls were deprived of that ability to be on a team competing for a championship. And she said when she first saw girls going through that process and winning a team championship and celebrating just like the boys, she said that was the greatest, and she almost started to cry. She said that was the greatest thing in the world. It wasn't just girls playing because they had been playing, but to be able to go through that process of being on a team, being in the locker room, the wins and losses and all of that. And she got very emotional talking about that, and I can really see that that was something that a lot of people forget, that girls were being denied the ability of all that camaraderie.
All right, Bree. I started out playing softball when I was quite young, and my PE teacher in middle school used to drive us around, and we would drive all over the place and play against different towns. That was the original travel ball. We didn't have equipment. The only thing that the catchers wore was an old mask, and we had metal bats, and that was about it. I knew that at some point in my life I wanted to be like her. I wanted to be able to give back and do something more with my life than just grow up and have a job. I wanted to be able to coach.
Coach Truesdale is one of the best coaches I've ever played for. She's really motivating and inspires each and every one of the girls that goes through this program. She wants the best for us, and she gives us the tools and necessities needed to be successful.
What goes up on that wall back there is going to be determined by you and your effort and your attitude.
When I'm older, I definitely want to give back to the game and become a coach. So I think just having the coaches that I've had growing up will be super helpful for me when I become a coach, because I have learned from them and know how to make others succeed.
We want to focus on being great teammates this year. And being a great teammate is going to have to be a choice that you make. I think winning's important. We keep score, and every time you step foot on the field, you have to believe that you can win every game that you play. But to be honest, I think that you have to have fun. If you're not having fun, you shouldn't play the game. You can push them to be better, because if you don't push them, they're not gonna be better. But I also believe that you can do that in a positive way, and you can build their self-esteem. You need to create positive memories.
She's just a great person. She has a really kind spirit, and she cares about us not only on the field, but like off the field.
A lot of you are gonna go on to some great places, and you're gonna do some great things. And we're hoping that we get to watch you do those great things. Okay, I'm so proud of you. I feel like I could coach forever. I know that's not going to be possible, but I just want to leave the legacy for my players to become coaches too, at some level, in some way, whether it's their daughters, whether it's their sons, but hopefully their daughters. I represent every hardworking softball coach who drags their field after every practice and game and is still helping mow the lawn and sweeping out the dugouts and doing all the work that has to be done to make it right for their players.
Right around the time my transition from elementary school to middle school was actually right around when Title IX was implemented. So I had the opportunity to just play and play with other girls and be able to compete and learn about team and learn all of those nuances that we know that being involved in athletics and being involved in a team and being involved in competition provide us. And so that foundation has always been at the forefront of allowing me to step forward and, for lack of a better term, compete.
It's a direct reflection of what it created, an opportunity for me to have achieved everything that I never thought I could, but was able to do. I'm indebted for those who fought before me, and I think, you know, that's why I played the game the way I did, with a passion and a love, because I know there were people that gave a lot of themselves to give me the opportunity to be able to compete for them and to play on their behalf. And I'm sure it was hard back in the day when it wasn't acceptable, you know, to now come to where we are today. And, you know, when I was growing up, I didn't know I was going to have an opportunity to go to college. I didn't know I was going to be an Olympian. I was blessed and fortunate to have doors opened up as I continued to grow and develop. And I took it with great responsibility and pride to be able to walk through each one of those doors, knowing that I was holding a torch and representing those athletes that were able to sacrifice and do what they did for me in the passage of Title IX.
I think it's the best thing that can happen to kids because they learn to share, they learn to be able to speak their piece, but speak it in a friendly manner and not get into problems about it. They learn the cultures, that some people are different. It just helped us to broaden the horizons, and then the students got better skilled. The more they played, the harder they went at it, and the better they did. So it stood to help women in a lot of ways.
You know, we had a locker room at my school that was used for the boys' sports in the fall, the winter, and the spring. And it was connected to the main locker room. And so the boys always got to use it, and the girls would have to, at halftime and before games, have to walk outside and go to the other locker room. And in my junior year, I remember going to the AD and saying, why can't we use the locker room too? And his response was, because that's not what we've done. And I was like, oh, well, that's a silly reason. And so I went to my mom and I said, I want to change that. That's not fair. And then that's when I learned that there was Title IX and that there was this law and there was this something that was there to allow for equity in sports. And so what we decided was to give them two options. We said either nobody uses the locker room or we come up with a plan and a schedule so that the boys and the girls can use the locker room in a way that was safe and equitable and that there was no issues with boys and girls getting dressed there. And ultimately, they came up with a plan because they didn't want to have it so that the boys couldn't use it. And I think what it showed me, what it magnified for me is that voice that my parents had been teaching me about using and advocating and using the agency that I had, I could leverage in a way of sports.
Facilities have changed tremendously. We have wonderful dugouts, a big scoreboard just like the boys. We have the same equipment just like the boys. It makes the girls feel good, and that's the biggest thing that I can say is that they feel worthy.
Winning the state title on this throw.
Running the second leg for Lindbrook is Claire Wang.
State title is on the line, Division I. Turned away a season ago. Hang on for a huge 2-1 victory
and they are Division I girls champions in Southern California.
The state of California was way in front of Title IX. A lot of people don't realize that. You know, everyone felt that Title IX, 1971, whoa, finally everyone got with the program. There was a lot of getting with the program prior to that time, as early as the 1950s. They took a survey, and I believe in 1965, 35,000 girls in the state of California were in some sport, be it softball, archery, basketball.
I'd like to believe that CIF has been in the forefront of making sure that there's equality of opportunity, there's equal access. In conducting our championships, we are always sharing facilities, sharing venues, game times, awards, everything is the same, and we've always tried to do that. And I also think we've done a lot to advance girls sports in terms of adding sports, girls water polo, girls golf, girls wrestling, cheer. We just recently this year added girls beach volleyball. So I think when we've done that, we've certainly added to the exposure for girls athletics, opportunities for girls athletics.
Just the fact that you get a chance, not just locally, and then you get a chance to expand on that and go out to the CIF section. So you bring in other schools, other sections, other counties, and you get a chance to participate and play against others outside of your area, which brings a new thing. And if you're fortunate enough to take it to the top, now you can go to the state.
Having a female coach is very inspiring because you get to see a woman, a strong Black woman in power and leading our whole team, and it makes you want to be like her. It makes you want to aspire to do the things that she's done in her life. Like, she's excelled in her sport, she got a college education, she's in charge of the whole track team. It just really makes you feel like you should be doing more in life. It really motivates all the teammates.
My first year of running track, I placed first in All City. I went to Hill Middle School, but I didn't even practice. Coach Don Norford, Papa Don, we all affectionately know him as, he put me in the 400. So the first time I ran it, I ran 57 and beat the top girl at Long Beach Wilson. They're like, did you know who you just beat? I'm like, no, I was just running. I'm so laid back. But by my 10th grade year, I ended up taking second in the state and ran 54 seconds. And then by my junior year, I was second at state, but I was running 53 seconds and 52 on relay. So the 400 became my love. And by the time I was a senior, I was top girl in the nation, really finding my way, running the 200, all relays, that type of thing.
She's there for you. She makes me feel comfortable around her. I could go to her for anything, any track problem, any school problem, any personal problem. I feel like comfortable enough to be able to talk with Miss Irving about that. It's really just, we're more than a team, and she's more than my coach.
I let them know that there's nothing that they can't do. They're just as equal as anyone else, and that they need to strive not just to be great athletes, but to be great women and leaders in our community. We've had some athletes on our team that I know at one time, maybe they weren't the best athletically, but still they had the best GPA on the team, and we tried to motivate kids not just to be the fastest or jump the furthest, but just to be contributors to our society, so that when they leave Long Beach Poly, they have some type of game plan so they can contribute to our community. Track and field or any sports is not just about winning, but it's about just giving your best, but know that your best may not be #1 that day. And so I have to teach that to my student athletes. I have to teach that to even my own child. Know that it's not just about winning, but if you give your best, that's all you have.
I feel like our school is really supportive of girls sports. They're just very entertaining to watch, and the energy is always good in the gym. Not just among the teams, but also the crowd. They're always cheering.
It's just such a rush because it just deepens the moment, because it's like all these people are here in support of me, and it just makes you want to run faster, and your adrenaline just pumps even faster, and you just feel the love in the unity from our team, from our coaches, from your parents, your friends, family, whoever's there. It's a really beautiful thing.
I'm proud to say, as a woman, I've made history at Long Beach Poly by being the first female to be an athletic director along with Mr. Rob Schock. Also to be the first female to be over a men's program at Long Beach Poly. The first female to have a CIF championship and a state championship. So I pride myself on a lot of firsts and bringing that pride just to my community, for my family, and those who will come after me as motivation. Since 2016, the girls have won CIF at least 3 times, 2 runner-ups. The boys have won CIF, also a runner-up. The girls have also won state. And in the middle of the pandemic, girls won CIF last year and the boys took second. So I think that's not too shabby for a girl. Not too shabby at all.
Being a high school athlete, it's really the first time that you understand what it means to represent something more than just yourself and your family. And so that pride of being able to take on the challenge of being able to compete, knowing that it's not just for you, but it's really in representing the school that you represent. And for me, it was St. Joseph's High School. I loved it. I was a freshman in the first CIF championship I won. I don't think anybody expected anything from us. We were a small school, all girls private Catholic school. It was a great experience to prepare me for UCLA and then ultimately being an Olympic athlete.
I've met a lot of coaches who have invested a lot of time in me, and I benefit from being around people. I benefit from learning from people, whether they're coaching me or challenging me, like as another player.
I think for my kids and their friends, you can see there's a lot of opportunities for them. When I went to college, there weren't a lot of schools that had soccer teams. Some of my best friends from high school, they went to UCLA, they went to LMU. They didn't have teams, they had to play on the club team. Now, all of those schools, my daughter's friends, they play for those schools. And so we always kid, my friends, oh, we were born too early. If we'd been here, we'd had much more opportunity.
The great thing about women in this business is there's a tremendous amount of support for one another. And I think that's because we come from a place where there were not opportunities. And that is not something that was an easy path to kind of forge.
Well, I think just coverage in all aspects, whether it's media coverage in print, on television. We're seeing more coverage at the high school level of girls sports, which I think has called attention to the fact that they work every bit as hard as the boys and deserve every bit the attention. And the girls sports programs in the state of California are second to none.
I love those communities where they do the boys and girls games on the same night, so that the fans don't have to choose and they can see both. And I think that, to me, is really referencing and thinking about that we want the communities to support the athletes, not just the male athletes.
The first time I heard my name announced at a varsity game was really special because I was watching Long Beach Poly basketball girls since I was in 4th grade. And I came to a lot of games and I was just in the stands. So being a player and hearing it from a different perspective, it was like kind of a surreal moment.
It's a great way to meet people, make friends, you travel in sports. So I just think that it gives you so many opportunities and that everyone, no matter what gender you are, gets to deserve to experience that.
When I was young playing, I was a tomboy, and people didn't see me as being a girl and an athlete. I was just an athlete. And so I think the attitude I've seen shift is that you've got girls and women who are participating who can be a girl and be an athlete.
Sport is one place where it doesn't matter what your background is. You have a common goal together and you're working towards that common goal. And so if you take a look at how we integrate and we form our teams on a school site, and if the world could just take a look at what that looks like and how we do that, we'd probably be better off in understanding each other.
Title IX, I started thinking about it when I was about 8 or 10. I had a lot of guy friends around the block. So we used to play this game called home run ball. We'd go to the baseball park and we'd play and hit home runs and pitch. And so I went with my buddies down to our local Little League and I went to sign up and they said, "I'm sorry, you can't play, you're a girl." And I was crushed. My friends were crushed because they were like, and they called me Susie at the time, we want Susie on our team. And then once I was away from my friends, I was crying to my mom and I was like, why can't I play? I can't play because I'm a girl? It made no sense to me. And it was at that moment that I said, this isn't fair. And I want to make a difference for myself, my friends, the future of women. And I remember I told my father, I said, Dad, I'm going to earn an athletic scholarship. And he said, honey, I don't think they have those for girls. And I said, Dad, I'm pretty sure they do now, right? And so this was in the mid-'80s. And I'll never forget when the first home visit came and the coach offered me a full ride athletic scholarship. There was tears in my dad's eyes. And it was a really cool moment, kind of full circle, to see what a tremendous opportunity athletics did provide me at that point in time in my life. Kind of getting emotional. That was kind of cool.
She cares a lot about me. She cares a lot about our teammates. She cares a lot about the program. She definitely wants to make an impact on you more than basketball, and she definitely has. Teaches you to be like a better woman outside of basketball. Teaches you how to be accountable with things, or respect, like gaining respect from other people, but also within yourself.
We oftentimes at practice create comfortable with chaos, so we create adverse circumstances for our kids to have to manage that adversity in a positive way. Deflated basketball, like, hey, you need to play with this and deal with, that means you're going to dribble less, which is a good thing. We're going to pass more. And with that being said, it's one of my personal kind of goals is this growth mindset, that I need to step outside my comfort zone on a regular basis so that I can continue to grow and evolve, and also demonstrate that vulnerability and willing to fall forward in front of your kids. I think is such a wonderful life lesson, both as a teacher and a basketball coach.
She has an attitude, a positive attitude. It rubs off on the girls, starting from a very young age. I mean, there's a reason why USA Basketball brings her on. She just completed her second stint. There's a reason for that. We've had very few other coaches from the West Coast that have ever been given that honor. She's at the top of the heap.
I think that women often have barriers in terms of perception and the way in which they are treated, and perhaps the opportunities that are afforded them. I find it as a personal responsibility for me to try to break down those barriers, extend myself in a way that allows these male counterparts to see me as an equal based on my level of intellect, my level of success as a coach and as a teacher.
If you care enough, you'll show that you care enough, and it's not about making every shot, doing the right thing. It's not about how many turnovers, all this stuff. It's about if you gave effort, if you show that you care, if you go in there and give 110%, then nothing should be a problem.
Like that little girl who wanted to be on the baseball team, I just wanted a chance to be a part of the team. I wasn't asking for any special treatment. I just wanted to throw the ball, hit the ball, and run with my friends who happened to be guys, and I didn't even notice that I was the only girl who wanted to play. But it really made an impact on me.
You know, athletics is truly an opportunity to create a foundation for someone to be successful in life. How they develop, how they grow, how they become competitive, how they learn how to fail, how they also learn how to succeed. And really, in this world, it's about being able to compete and to perform under pressure, under timelines, in front of people. For the athletes that I coach today, to see them on TV, which I never thought would happen, but to be able to have games televised, professional levels, and opportunities that they can be involved in outside of college and make a career out of, it's incredible.
The exposure and the visibility that these young women are receiving is incredible, and yet I still think we have a ways to go. And yet I want to be grateful and positive about the strides we've made, but I hope we continue to make strides.
In order for there to be real systems change, you need women and girls and women of color who've experienced Title IX to be in the room where it happens and to make decisions and to help provide guidelines and sort of movement to where we should push resource and what we need to do.
Nothing makes me more excited than to have a female counterpart on the other sideline, and for our our young women now, they have to see it to be it. So we have to continue to model and expose them to the representation in our sport, so they continue to pay it forward and stay involved in coaching and just grow all the sports, because sports has been so incredibly good to me and life-changing to a lot of young women. And so I would just want to continue to mushroom the opportunities across the board.
If they see women coaching them, if they see women officiating them, then hopefully that will encourage them to do the same. So I think that an emphasis can be made in that. And I think what they're doing, the leadership at the state CIF, is working extremely hard for that, and I'm very proud of what they're doing.
And it's not just our schools that have to seek out female role models as leaders, as coaches. It's also important for the CIF to do the same. When we look around the room at our federated council, do we have a balance of men and women? I think we're getting better, but we have a long way to go. I believe over 90% of women that are in CEO roles in Fortune 500 companies played high school sports. And I'm sure a lot of the qualities that they have in those roles, they got from many places, but high school sports certainly one of those. The idea of teamwork, camaraderie, work ethic, being pushed to your limits, physically, emotionally, mentally. I think those are all characteristics that we consistently hear from our girls that played sports in high school.
Our young men can also see the involvement in our women. They also then grow to see the importance of that as they become partners and husbands and dads. They also recognize that there aren't any limitations in being able to participate in athletics regardless of the gender.
I remember there was this little boy named Christian who was 9 years old when I was playing in the WNBA, and he was a huge fan of mine. And he always had signs, and he'd come up for autograph sessions. And I remember thinking, like, this is amazing, because this boy is growing up thinking there's no difference between what I'm doing and what someone in the NBA is doing as a man. And I'm like, that's how you affect change.
I think the CIF has a very, very rich future because we've been able to make changes when necessary. That's a big step. You'll often hear education-based. Well, because education is the most important part of what CIF does, whether it's for student athletes, coaches, administrators, officials. It's education, and the emphasis has been on education for the last 15, 20 years, and I think that's significant. And I think as long as CIF continues on that path, CIF will be around for a long, long time.
Just when it comes to Title IX, how grateful I am for those that provided the opportunity. Unfortunately, the names go unrecognized because, you know, through time, we sometimes forget those of the past, and it's important that they know, and that the kids of today realize, the female athletes, you know, what it took for them to have this opportunity. And, you know, it's up to us to honor them and repay them by taking advantage of the opportunities that they fought so hard for us, and not to take it for granted. And live every day with a love and an enjoyment for the game.